July 22, 1456. The walls of Belgrade are crumbling under Ottoman cannon fire. 60,000 soldiers of Sultan Mehmed II, the Conqueror of Constantinople, surround the city, their siege engines pounding the fortifications into rubble. Inside, 20,000 defenders, half of them peasants with farming tools, prepare for the final assault. The greatest military force in the world is about to crush the last major obstacle between them and the complete conquest of Europe. Then a man appears on the ramparts, not a king, not a pope. Just a Hungarian general in white armor, holding a crucifix in one hand and a sword in the other. His name is John Hunyadi, and in the next 72 hours, he will do what no Crusader army has accomplished in 2 centuries. He will defeat the Ottoman Empire in open battle, kill or wound 15,000 of their soldiers, and force Mehmed the Conqueror to retreat in humiliation. How does a man born without title or fortune become the warrior that 2 Ottoman sultans fear more than any Western army? How does he win battle after battle against impossible odds, only to die under mysterious circumstances, possibly poisoned by the very nobles he spent his life defending? The year is 1406. John Hunyadi is born in Transylvania, a borderland squeezed between the jaws of empires. To the east, the Ottoman Turks are expanding into the Balkans, swallowing kingdoms and enslaving populations. To the west, the Kingdom of Hungary is fracturing under weak leadership and internal corruption. To the south, Wallachia and Serbia are becoming Ottoman vassals. Transylvania is a death trap, and everyone knows it. Hunyadi's origins are controversial. Some sources claim his father was a minor Romanian nobleman named Voic. Others suggest he was the illegitimate son of Hungarian King Sigismund. The truth is murky, deliberately obscured by both enemies who wanted to delegitimize him and allies who needed him to have royal blood. What is certain is that John Hunyadi grows up poor, hungry, and watching his homeland burn. He does not inherit armies. He does not inherit castles. He inherits nothing except rage and ambition. Before diving into this forgotten story of the warrior who terrified sultans, if you enjoy learning about the heroes Western historians deliberately overlooked, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. And please comment below to let me know where you're listening from. I find it incredible that we're exploring these battles together from different parts of the world, connected across time and space by our shared fascination with the warriors history tried to bury. By age 20, Hunyadi is a mercenary fighting in the endless border wars between Hungary and the Ottomans. He learns tactics not from books but from blood. He fights in skirmishes where a single mistake means death. He watches Christian armies get massacred by superior Ottoman cavalry. He studies why they lose, rigid formations, heavy armor unsuited for rapid movement, commanders who fight for glory instead of victory. He learns the Ottoman way of war, mobility, deception, striking fast and retreating faster, using terrain to neutralize numerical superiority, and most importantly, never fighting fair. The Hungarian nobility despises him. To them, he is a commoner pretending to be a soldier, a peasant who doesn't understand that war is the business of nobles. But King Sigismund sees something different. He sees a man who wins. So he promotes Hunyadi, gives him command of border fortresses, and watches him turn defensive positions into launch points for raids deep into Ottoman territory. By 1438, Hunyadi is voivode, military governor, of Transylvania. He is 32 years old and has already fought in more battles than most generals experience in a lifetime. He commands a mixed force of Hungarian knights, Romanian infantry, Serbian refugees, and Wallachian volunteers. It is not a disciplined professional army. It is a coalition of desperate men defending their homes against an empire that views them as cattle to be enslaved. And they win, repeatedly. The year is 1441. Sultan Mehmed II sends an army of 40,000 men to crush the Hungarian frontier defenses and clear the path for a full invasion. Hunyadi meets them near the Alameda River with fewer than 15,000 soldiers. The Ottomans expect a defensive battle. Instead, Hunyadi attacks at night, targeting their supply camp, stampeding their horses, and creating chaos in the darkness. By dawn, the Ottoman army is fleeing south, leaving behind thousands of dead and all their siege equipment. This is not a lucky victory. This is genius. Hunyadi does it again in 1442 at the Battle of Sheben, defeating another Ottoman invasion force. and again in 1443 when he launches what becomes known as the Long Campaign, a 6-month offensive that smashes through Ottoman strongholds in Serbia, Bulgaria, and Wallachia, recapturing fortresses that had been under Turkish control for decades. The Long Campaign is a nightmare for the Ottomans. Hunyadi's army moves too fast for them to pin down. He uses scorched earth tactics, destroying supply depots before retreating, forcing Ottoman commanders to chase him through hostile terrain where their numerical advantage means nothing. By the time winter arrives, Hunyadi has penetrated so deep into Ottoman territory that Sultan Mehmed II sues for peace. A 10-year truce is signed. The Sultan agrees to respect Hungarian borders. He agrees to stop raiding Christian lands. He agrees to everything because John Hunyadi has proven something terrifying. The Ottoman Empire can be beaten, but the truce does not last. Western European powers, led by the Pope, pressure Hungary to break the treaty and launch a new crusade while the Ottomans are weak. Hunyadi opposes this. He knows the truce gave Hungary time to rebuild. He knows breaking it will provoke a full Ottoman response, but he is overruled by King W. Ladislaw III of Poland and Cardinal Julian Cesarini, who promise that Western Crusader armies will join the campaign. They are lying, or deluded. The result is the same. The date is November 10, 1444. The Battle of Varna. Hunyadi leads a combined Hungarian-Polish-Wallachian army of 25,000 men against Sultan Mehmed II's force of 60,000. The Crusaders are outnumbered, undersupplied, and poorly coordinated. Worse, the promised Western reinforcements never arrive. They are alone. The battle is a slaughter. King W. Ladislaw III charges recklessly into the Ottoman lines and is killed, his head cut off and displayed on a pike. Cardinal Cesarini drowns trying to flee across a river. The Crusader army disintegrates. Hunyadi fights his way out with a rear guard action that saves thousands of lives, but the defeat is catastrophic. Varna is remembered as one of the worst Crusader disasters in history. But it should be remembered as something else, proof that John Hunyadi could not win without support, and proof that Western Europe would never provide that support. The Hungarian nobles blame Hunyadi for the defeat. They accuse him of cowardice for retreating. They demand he be stripped of his titles. But the common people see the truth. Hunyadi saved the army from total annihilation. He is the reason Hungary still exists. So when the nobility moves against him, the peasants and soldiers revolt. Hunyadi is declared Regent of Hungary, ruling in the name of the child King Laszlo V. For the next decade, Hunyadi builds. He fortifies the southern border. He trains new armies. He recruits Vlad Dracula as a vassal and teaches him the tactics of scorched earth and night raids. He prepares for the war he knows is coming, because the Ottomans never forgive. The year is 1453. Constantinople falls. Mehmed II, the new sultan, conquers the Byzantine Empire and declares himself Caesar of Rome. He is 21 years old, brilliant, ruthless, and obsessed with expanding his empire into Europe. His next target is obvious: Hungary. And the man standing in his way is the same general who humiliated his father at the Alameda River. Mehmed assembles an army of over 60,000 men, including the elite janissaries and the most advanced artillery in the world, the same cannons that shattered Constantinople's walls. He marches north in the summer of 1456, aiming for Belgrade, the fortress city that controls the Danube River and the gateway into Hungary. If Belgrade falls, Hungary falls. If Hungary falls, Europe falls. John Hunyadi is 50 years old, exhausted from decades of war, and commanding an army that barely exists. The Hungarian nobility refuses to send reinforcements. The Holy Roman Empire sends prayers but no soldiers. The Pope declares a crusade but provides no money. Hunyadi has perhaps 8,000 professional troops and another 12,000 peasants recruited by a Franciscan monk named John of Capistrano, who is preaching holy war and convincing farmers to pick up weapons. 20,000 defenders against 60,000 Ottomans, the largest cannons in the world against crumbling medieval walls. The greatest military commander in history against an aging general the nobility wants dead. This is not a fair fight, but John Hunyadi has never fought fair. If you're enjoying this revelation of forgotten military genius, a like really helps share these buried histories with more people who need to know that the warriors who actually saved Europe were never the knights in shining armor from the West. The Siege of Belgrade begins on July 4, 1456. Mehmed's cannons open fire, pounding the walls day and night. The noise is deafening. The ground shakes. Entire sections of fortifications collapse into rubble. The defenders repair the breaches at night, dragging stones and timber under constant arrow fire, knowing that when the walls finally fail, the slaughter will begin. Hunyadi does not sit inside the city waiting to die. He commands a relief fleet on the Danube River, 200 small boats filled with soldiers and supplies. On July 14th, he rams through the Ottoman River blockade in broad daylight, sinking Turkish galleys and forcing his way to Belgrade's docks. The supplies are unloaded. The reinforcements pour into the city, and Mehmed realizes he is no longer fighting a siege. He is fighting John Hunyadi. The assault begins on July 21st. Ottoman janissaries storm the breaches in the walls, climbing over rubble, fighting hand to hand with Hungarian defenders. For 12 hours, the battle rages. The Ottomans push into the city. Hunyadi's men push them back. Push and counterpush, dying by the hundreds in the choking smoke and blood-soaked streets. By nightfall, the Ottomans have established a foothold inside the walls. Mehmed orders his commanders to hold position and prepare for the final assault in the morning. Victory is hours away. John Hunyadi does not wait for morning. At dawn on July 22nd, he orders a counterattack, not a defensive sortie, a full offensive. He leads 20,000 men, knights, peasants, monks with clubs, out of the gates and directly into the Ottoman camp. The Ottomans are not prepared. They are exhausted from the previous day's fighting. Their cannons are positioned to fire at the walls, not at an army charging from inside the city. Hunyadi's men hit them like a hammer, smashing through the siege lines, overrunning artillery positions, setting fire to supply wagons. Mehmed tries to rally his janissaries, but the chaos is overwhelming. The Hungarian peasants fight with the fury of men defending their families. John of Capistrano's crusaders are screaming prayers and swinging axes. Hunyadi's cavalry is cutting down fleeing soldiers. The most powerful army in the world is disintegrating. Sultan Mehmed II is wounded. Some sources say by an arrow, others say by a sword. He is evacuated from the battlefield. His commanders order a full retreat. 15,000 Ottoman soldiers are dead or captured. The siege is broken. Belgrade is saved. Hungary is saved. Europe is saved. But John Hunyadi does not celebrate. 3 weeks after the battle, on August 11, 1456, he dies. The official cause is plague, which was raging through the region, but the timing is suspicious. The Hungarian nobility had every reason to want him dead. He was too popular, too powerful, a commoner who ruled as regent and commanded absolute loyalty from the army. Some sources suggest poison. Some suggest deliberate exposure to disease. The truth is lost to history, but the pattern is clear. John Hunyadi spent his life defending a nobility that despised him, and the moment he was no longer needed, he died under mysterious circumstances. His son, Matthias Corvinus, is imprisoned by the same nobles his father saved. It takes a popular uprising to free him and place him on the Hungarian throne, where he becomes one of the greatest kings in Hungarian history. But he never forgets how his father was treated, how the man who saved Europe was erased by the people he defended. If you found John Hunyadi's story as tragic and heroic as I did, please give this video a like. It really helps the algorithm share this hidden history with more people who deserve to know that the greatest defenders of Christendom were not Western crusaders, but forgotten warriors like Hunyadi who fought alone and died without recognition. And if you want to dive deeper into the battles and betrayals that textbooks won't teach, make sure you're subscribed. I have a question for you to answer in the comments. If you had been John Hunyadi, knowing the nobility despised you and would likely betray you, would you have still spent your life defending them, or would you have let Europe fall? I read every comment, and I'd love to hear your take on whether duty to your people outweighs personal survival. Next time, we're uncovering the story of the warrior queen who commanded 30,000 soldiers, defeated 3 invasions, and was erased from Western chronicles simply because acknowledging her would shatter every assumption about medieval warfare and women's roles. You won't want to miss it. John Hunyadi died in 1456, 3 weeks after saving Europe. He was buried in the Cathedral of Alba Iulia in Transylvania, a simple tomb for a man who deserved monuments. Today, statues of Hunyadi stand across Hungary, Romania, and Serbia, tributes to the White Knight who stopped empires. But his greatest legacy is not stone. It is the lesson he taught, that courage and genius can overcome any numerical disadvantage, that sometimes the greatest warriors come from nowhere, with nothing, and rise through sheer will. That Europe was saved not by popes or kings or crusader armies, but by a Transylvanian general the nobility tried to erase. Mehmed II never invaded Hungary again during Hunyadi's son's reign. The memory of Belgrade haunted him. The Ottomans would not seriously threaten Vienna for another 70 years. And when they finally did, the tactics used to stop them, rapid mobility, scorched earth, night raids, were all invented by John Hunyadi. He was the warrior sultans feared more than any crusader, the general who trained Vlad the Impaler, the commoner who became regent, the hero history forgot. And on the walls of Belgrade, where 20,000 defenders held against 60,000, his legend endures. The White Knight of Hungary, who fought alone, won impossible victories and died saving the ungrateful. His story is a reminder that sometimes the greatest sacrifices are made by those who will never be remembered, but they should be.